Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Hub World Podcast. Today's episode will have us covering all things Destiny 2. My name is Matteo, and today I'm joined by...
Gino. And Joe.
Been a very long time since you've been on, Joe. It's good to have you back.
Welcome back, bud.
I don't remember what episode was last. It's been a long time.
Yeah, this Destiny episode has been in the works for a very long time. Like, it's been on the back of all of our minds, saying, like, we gotta have a Destiny episode at one point, but... Whether you're joining our adventure from YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify, be sure to like and subscribe. Now, let's get talking about Destiny 2.
So yeah, a lot's happened since we first thought that we were going to do this, but now we're getting kind of into that hype mode. The final expansion for the Light and Darkness saga for Destiny is going to be coming up, the final shape. And it's set up to be a bit of a game changer for Destiny 2, as it's going to be wrapping up this 10-year story arc that we've been on. The expansion is set to release in 2024, and it'll answer some of the biggest questions in Destiny lore, such as, what is the final shape? What does it mean for the fate of this universe?
Yeah, and then the showcase is going to feature surprise appearance. We kind of already got that surprise from the trailer that happened in the PlayStation showcase, but Cade 6 is back after being killed by Uldren Sov, who's now Crow. So it's going to be a pretty cool interaction to see going forward. Seems to, though, be like in that little realm beyond the Traveler, like in that little triangle realm.
Yeah.
It sounds also, too, like something big is coming our way. But I kind of wonder, like, if Cade is survived his death somehow, or if this is, like, maybe where, you know, things that had light go to die after
Like
the
the
ghost is
afterlight?
killed. Yeah, something like that, maybe. The afterlight. But I kind of wonder if Cade will play a large part in the story, or if he's just going to kind of be a little side character. But maybe actually let's start talking about Cade 6. Like, how do you guys feel with Cade 6 returning? Do you think he's going to be the same as before? Do you think he's going to be changed? Like, that we've noticed in the trailer, his eyes don't have that orange glow. They kind of have like a wispy white glow, which I guess signifies something. But what do you guys think?
Well, he's definitely not Cade 7, that's for sure. Some of the Exo lore with the race of Cade himself, he's an Exo, which is like some kind of like a robotic humanoid. The numbers at the end of their name indicate how many times their mind has been reset. So if this was truly a new form of Cade in Cade 7, Cade 7 wouldn't have the memories of Cade 6. So because Cade knew Ikora, knew what was kind of going on, and was kind of still wearing his lucky pants and had his gun there and all, like, knew what to do with those things, this tells us that this actually is the same Cade as the one that died back in Forsaken. So I don't know, like, maybe, okay, like, Cade dies, they like scrounge him up, put him back together, and maybe he has a new ghost. I don't know. But like I don't think that's even possible within like can Guardians have us like new ghosts if they're Exos? If I don't know.
Even then, like, how did the ghost get through the triangle?
Yeah, exactly.
Or like when he died, did he just get like absorbed into the Traveler?
Yeah.
Like, how does that work?
Yeah, it's going to be weird, but like I'm glad to see Cade come back because Cade was one of my favorite characters, and I feel like the death in Forsaken seemed kind of just like, oh, shock and awe, just for the sake of shock and awe, right?
Now, Matteo, but did you ever have a close connection with Cade? Because you and I are both Hunter mains, so I feel like my connection isn't with him. I don't know if your connection's with him, but
Well, Joe, actually, I'm a Titan main. I've been a Titan main since Destiny 1, day one. But I do like Cade. Cade was my favorite of like the Vanguard, like the leaders. And like Gino said, like I didn't like the way he was killed off, and I'm really happy to see him back. Like Bungie saved money on having to get rid of Cade when they broke off with Nathan Fillion, but now since they're bought by PlayStation, they got that PlayStation money now to throw at Nathan Fillion. So I'm really happy that he's back. And mainly though, like from what we've seen in that little snippet, that little trailer in the PlayStation showcase, I feel like Cade it's obvious, yeah. So it's Cade 6. It's still going to be Nathan Fillion, but I kind of hope he comes back with a little bit of an edge, and maybe isn't like his chipper, joking self, and comes back a little more hardened and like, yeah, he can still riff with other characters, but like he was killed and is seemingly brought back. That's going to change you. So I would hope that like he's got a little more of an edge to him.
Well, do you think he's still going to be the Hunter Vanguard, or is
Probably
he going to be?
not. I honestly don't think he would be.
Yeah, well, we haven't had a Hunter Vanguard since Cade died, and the whole thing with the Hunter Vanguard was whoever kills the Hunter Vanguard becomes the Hunter Vanguard. But
so it should be Crow.
Well, technically it would have been Aldrin, but Aldrin also died. So, like, I don't know. I like the return of Cade is a good thing, but at the same time, also it's going to open up a whole new like bunch of can of worms as well, because there's now all these like, okay, what are these implications? How is he going to interact with the Crow? Is he going to get all freaked out, or is he going to have to like, is he going to take Crow under his wing, or is Crow gonna kind of just have to like earn Cade's trust because it's the person that killed you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of go back and forth because like I've always thought like way before when Crow came back that he was brought back like through his redemption arc to eventually become the Hunter Vanguard, and maybe we'll see that that sort of passing when he meets with Cade. But also, yeah, like thinking about like would Cade actually even be able to return to the tower? I kind of get the vibe that he's stuck in a Traveler.
Yeah,
he's just permanently there. So I kind of feel that hopefully, like another question could be like Cade could be involved in the storyline of the final shape of our campaign. But after that, is it going to be like a definitive, hey, you meet Cade, and then maybe after talking with him once, he like goes off into the void, like that we lose Cade again? Like, I really wonder how much Cade will be involved. Yeah. I also got the vibe, kind of like Bungie's emergency button. Like, they hit the button with the PlayStation money, like Matteo said, so that way they can bring him back, because they're like, well, things weren't so hot in Lightfall. What can we do to make it better? I know, let's bring Cade back, you know? And if that was their mentality, it's just going to be something like that, where he comes back for a campaign mission and goes off into the void, because he might not have been in this overarching plan of Destiny. But also, I don't know if you guys saw, but on Instagram, Nathan Fillion had posted a video when that trailer came out, and he's clearly like really hyped to come back as Cade. And that's kind of cool to see from his perspective. It's like a character that's stuck with him.
Yeah.
Kind of that's going now into the gameplay though that we're expecting of the final shape. So the question I want to say a week ago was, do you think we're going to get a new subclass? And I actually would have said no. But now it sounds like, based off of a leak that was kind of made its way out, and the only reason why there's some validity to this leak is that it happened to leak out the exact same way Strand leaked earlier, about a month before that Destiny showcase through an art space, I think it was, art space leak, where they were showing off some sort of Eververse cosmetic, and you see, I think it was whatever class, I think it was a Titan, they had like a green subclass and green themes throughout their HUD interface. It sounds like, based on the one we saw, filled with red. So we're getting the red subclass. I really didn't think they were going to do back-to-back subclasses.
I didn't think they had it in them either. But I feel like Bungie, again, is kind of in like damage control, danger mode, because Lightfall didn't ship too hot. So they're like, okay, what can we get people excited? Oh, extra subclasses seem to work. And I think it's legit. I think it's legit. And
what do you think then it's going to be like based around or themed? Because we pretty much know it's red. What do you think like it's going to be themed around? And then maybe we'll go into each class and see what you think their super ability could be. What do you think like the overall arcing theme would be? So like Strand is like movement and pulling stuff out from sort of nowhere because it exists around you.
Yeah.
What do you think this red one will be?
Oof. Well, it's kind of difficult to think because Bungie will, like, especially with Strand. They're like when we saw green, everyone was like, "Oh, it's poison, corruption, weapons of sorrow, thorn," that kind of lines of thinking. But I don't know. I want to say Siva because it's red, but at the same time, Siva and like nanotech and nanites and all that stuff doesn't mesh with the whole like darkness subclass, like the whole darkness subclasses as a whole, because they're supposed to be all about like knowledge and kind of like consciousness.
Yeah, that's true.
So like I want to say Siva because I would love to see like, okay, here's my Titan. He's gonna go in for like a Titan charge ability, and like, okay, all of a sudden my shoulders like coated in these like black and red nanites, and I hit someone and it does some like ticking damage to them because Siva is like a nano machine or whatever, and it goes in and like messes with you. Like I would love to see that, like something like Outbreak Perfected, when you hit someone and there's all these like little swarms of drone like little things going around, and you can control it with your mind. That's how it's connected to darkness. There you go.
I don't know, like you guys said, like Strand really threw me for a loop, and like I had that expectation that it was going to be some sort of like elemental thing, but then it ended up becoming like a essentially movement focused subclass. But so my kind of theory is, well, maybe uh the final darkness subclass might be like something more traditional, where it's like I'm speaking from like the Titan point of view, because I really don't play as the other two's classes, but like what I would personally want would be like a more defensive based subclass for Titans, something like how Void was early on in Destiny, where like you have the bubble, you have the shields, like something like that I would really appreciate. Something that would make me feel like unstoppable, really. But I don't know, just like I said, like because how Strand was just so like out there, it really could be anything. I feel like though something this was probably in the works for a long time, because like my whole thing with Destiny is like I kind of feel like Bungie's been sitting on stuff for a long time, and like why release all this content when we can just get by with the bare minimum type of situation. So this could have been in the works for a long time, and maybe that's why it shouldn't. I don't think it's that surprising that we've gotten back-to-back subclasses, because like this is definitely a like this is an emergency situation for the game. So they kind of like boxed into a corner, like they have no choice but to really like be as out there as possible and just get as many eyeballs on Destiny again when Final Shape comes out. So like for me, like so I just want a more like tanky sort of subclass, if that's even possible. I don't know how they would be able to balance that, but yeah, it's like they should have just stuck with the formulaic sort of like elemental based subclasses, but they had to kind of ruin it with Strand. But anyways, that's just like one of the small things that just really bothers me about Destiny.
I know. They always have to try to go outside of the box, and then they just really mess with you, especially with Strand.
But Strand wasn't even bad though. It just breaks the pattern, right? So it was one of the few good things I liked about Lightfall.
Well, I kind of thought it was interesting that you said about like not being surprised that Bungie would be able to just do subclasses back to back, and like it kind of reminded me of like Strand itself fit in so much better with the Witch Queen. And I think a lot of people online, and I kind of share this opinion, that Strand was supposed to be in the Witch Queen, but clearly they must have been struggling with it in particular. So it got pushed out because like Osteo should have been a Strand weapon. Like Deep Sight was used for movement instead of being able to use Strand abilities. Like there's so many things that like being able to look back now, you could kind of tell that the Witch Queen was supposed to include Strand. And
Even the final encounter with Savathun, where like you're unraveling. You're kind of like unraveling the Traveler in that last scene where you have to like kill the wizards on the tower and stuff, right? Like it's so thematically right there. Yeah, with like webs of lies and things. And then of course we would be able to like swing around like Spider-Man, web slinging, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Like it had to have been there, which means it was, and it even makes sense for the fact that the whole campaign of Lightfall was about Strand.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people complained about that. I'm not worried of the fact. I do not think that will be the case at all for the final shape. I think hopefully the subclass will just kind of fit in more organically.
Mm-hmm.
But first, though, to touch on Gino's point about Siva not being a darkness subclass, only thing that I will kind of talk about that might allow for that to happen is before Strand, we used to have to like click that button to switch subclasses, implying that you're switching between light and dark. Once Strand came out, you don't have that button anymore. Just all the subclasses are there. So I feel like it doesn't have to necessarily be a light or darkness subclass. I kind of feel like it could just be whatever it wants to be. So I do think Siva could work, or some sort of Siva subclass. But I think thematically it needs to kind of tie in probably with like the luster, like the pyramids, the Shadow Legion, like the stuff that they have on their back, the Tormentors. I think we are going to probably need that power to defeat the Witness.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to kind of tie in to be something like that. Now, like class-wise, like I would probably say as long as Titan is not solely like punching, I'd be really happy. Really happy.
What if they kick?
I'd take a kick at this point. Just no more punching. No more using fists.
But I like punching.
I know, but there's too many. It doesn't stop. The leak, though, of this red subclass happened to be on a warlock, and I'd give credit, but I don't remember who had this as a talking point in their video, but someone mentioned that it kind of looks like Well of Radiance, that super. It has that sort of same outline, but just now it's red and it looks a bit different. So I wonder if it's going to be more of a defensive subclass for warlocks. And whatever hunters seem to get the coolest subclasses, in my opinion. So the hunter one's just going to be cool, whatever it is.
Hunter just needs a good damage, like a good DPS subclass. We get all the fancy fanfare cool stuff, but like the numbers, it doesn't matter. If the numbers aren't there, you're not going to get played. I don't know. But back to like the pyramid stuff, Joe, like the pyramid tech would be cool, but that would be yellow. That wouldn't be red.
I know that's kind of where I struggle with it, because you're right, it should be more that like orangish sort of yellow.
Yeah. Or like gold. Yeah.
Siva, I think, has to make the most sense. Even Bungie has a way to maybe tie it in thematically too with the returning raid if it happens to be Wrath of the Machine.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be Wrath of the Machine. I get the vibe it's probably going to be Crota.
Crota would be cool. They could
we'll see.
Yeah. Give that raid like a proper raid treatment opposed to just like, okay, a dungeon.
Yeah. Like, do you think like this red one could be like, I don't know, like some sort of red electric energy? I'm trying to think, like, what are you going to call it? Like green strand, we got stasis, arc, void, solar. What's red? Like blood?
That could be cool. Maybe it's like a construct kind of thing as well, right? Because like, okay, now that the more I think about it, like I like the Siva idea, but like you could like maybe make things with it, like, and if it's defensive, you could build like maybe like you could have like a wall being built, and then you could like shatter into it, kind of like how Strand does. Sorry, not Strand, like kind of like how Stasis does a bit.
Stasis, yeah.
I don't know, like. I really want to see them do like a ticking damage. So like blood would be cool, but you also have like the exos and stuff, right? They're not essentially organic. It even could be like a Vex kind of thing.
Oh yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah. And because like the Vex are known to be like allies with the darkness and all that stuff as well, and they've been kind of quiet for a while now too. So
yeah, they kind of like we don't know how they fit. They're kind of allies with everyone. I feel like and no one at the same time. They're just kind of there, like they're patiently waiting. They're like, we want to do something cool.
Yep.
I think we've really kind of covered everything there is to be about the darkness subclass. It would have been a lot more exciting though if things didn't leak, but I'm gonna say the leak is pretty much confirmed. I can't imagine it being faked that well.
Yeah. There's just too much stuff, and I saw your shorts actually on it, Joe, and I'm like, yep, seems you went into a lot of detail. You put a lot of thought into that.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Story wise, Matteo's favorite subject, Destiny story. But
Yep.
how do you think the Light and Darkness saga will end? Do you think are we going to be able to actually defeat the Witness? I guess let's start with that. Actually, do you think we actually get to defeat the Witness?
Honestly, I don't think we do. And the final shape is built, and the entire expansion takes place within the final shape, and we have to find a way to undo it. It's going to start with when the Witness wins, and then we're playing within the Witness, like their world, and that's kind of like the world beyond the triangle. And we have to kind of just go back and try to find a way to make either a new world, and that's where the next iteration of Destiny will be, or we have to put things back to the way they were.
Yeah, I like that. It's kind of funny though. It's like you got 10 years of a saga just for nothing to actually happen.
Yep.
I would not be surprised, to be honest with you, based on how things have gone with the game lately. Lightfall was just an extreme disappointment, and just like I'm just trying to not get my hopes up that much. Like Joe alluded to, like I kind of, to be blunt, I kind of don't care about Destiny's story. I play it mainly for the gameplay and like the community experience, but like what I do follow though, like I am intrigued by it, but like I did actually read up on some lore and stuff going into Lightfall, because I was like, okay, Lightfall is going to be the expansion that gets me like really hooked on Destiny's story, and it was just a massive disappointment. So I kind of just don't want to get my hopes up again going towards final shape. But like obviously it's going to end somehow, because like it's got to end on somewhat of a good note, because there's got to be a continuation of the story beyond that. But it's not that like crazy of a thing to say. But I'd like to know the true nature of the Traveler. That's like something that we've been wanting to know since Destiny 1. Like, what is the Traveler? And I kind of feel like if they don't reveal that, that would be a disappointment. So, like, that's like the one thing, in my opinion, that they have to do is we have to finally learn that secret.
Oh, Matteo. What they're going to do is they're going to ask the question a bunch of times in the campaign, and then like 6 months down the line, they'll put out a story mission where it'll answer that question.
Traveler containment.
Yep.
Stupid Bungie.
Yep.
I agree. I just kind of want to know what the Traveler is and like its motive, because like we saw that Witness cutscene halfway through this season of the Deep, but
yep,
it answered like a good amount of questions about like the Witness, the Veil containment. So they did a good job about the Veil. The Traveler is still kind of a question. I really want to know what's going on with it.
Yeah, like why was it buried on the Witness's planet to begin with? Like, was it born there? Is it from that planet originally also, or was it just like there waiting for a species intelligent enough to find it?
Exactly. Now I have a question. Do you think? I've been kind of wondering, like, and I guess this is going to kind of tie in, I think, to our last questions relating to like what do you think is going to happen after the final shape. But the final shape itself, let's look at that as just like the expansion that comes out in probably February next year.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think after that, like I'm trying to think, how would the seasonal model work? because the final shape is supposed to be like, that's the end. Like, that's it. That's done. How would they do seasons after that? Because what else is there to tell other than making their way to this next place that we're arriving at post final shape? But I feel like that's going to be like a huge jump. That's like an expansion in itself. I just don't know what they're going to do between, I guess, the final shape and the post final shape big event.
I have a theory on this. The final shape season 1 will be like the final shape part 1. Season 2 will be the part 2. Season 3 will be part 3. Season 4 finale. I think it's going to be a 4-part expansion. Each of the season, because we're used to receiving content in this game on a seasonal model, piecewise, and all that kind of stuff. I feel like they're going to draw out, like, okay, like the main story stuff where we go to this planet, we set up our base, we confront the Witness in some form. I feel like it's going to be very much like kind of like us taking on the shade of the shade of Oryx. I feel like it's going to like follow like kind of us as the Guardians running around chasing after the Witness, kind of like how in the Taken King we were kind of chasing after the shade of Oryx, and we confront that, we established our foothold, and then the final story piece takes place in the raid. If they're going to be following the same kind of model that they've been doing, where they release 2 raids a year and 2 dungeons, maybe the first raid that we get after the completion of the story is us like taking the fight to the Witness, and we're chasing it throughout all these different things, but like we defeat a portion of its power, or we're able to wrestle some type of some form of its power back from it, where we have a little bit more control. Then we go into the seasonal kind of stuff, and we get a dungeon where we're learning how to use this power in some specific way, and then we get another raid where we go out and we take out the Witness. Just say like that would be season 3, where we finally take out the Witness, and then the last dungeon is us trying to like put everything back into place. That's kind of like my idea for it, because like, okay, if we go and take out the Witness in the story, and then we beat it in the raid following, we have an entire year worth of. Wait, what? Why didn't we just start with that? Right? Because like I feel like we have to build up our power as Guardians to be able to go out and take on this this universe-ending threat, right? Like it was able to cut into the Traveler just by waving its hand. It's literally the combined consciousness of an entire species. Like 6 Guardians and Galahorns shouldn't be able to take this thing out, right?
Yeah, I struggle with what they're gonna do. Just because I think people would be really upset and would complain if like we don't end the Witness or conclude that story in the expansion. Because it's kind of like Lightfall. Like we did Lightfall, we learned nothing, but like, wait, just keep playing. You'll learn more about the Veil. And everyone hates it. So I just feel like they would have to be really like ignorant of the community to do that again, but even at a bigger level, because like this is supposed to be the end of the Light and Darkness bit.
Yeah. And like, I know it's not the best way to tell that kind of story, but if you've been building up and building up and building up, like this is it, you want this story to last the entire year, or like different aspects of this story. I would feel personally cheated if the Witness was taken, if we just sneeze and the Witness falls over and be like, oh, you've ruined my billions of years of planning, curse you. And then it kind of just like poofs away.
I think I'd be okay with that if we defeated the Witness in like the expansion in the raid, and that's it. The Witness is dead, but it takes us a whole year to like repair the damage that he did. Like I want him to just actually like wreck everything that we have, and throughout the year, it's us like rebuilding.
That could be cool. Do you think we're going to lose this tower too?
Oh, I hope we do. I hate this tower.
We go back to OG tower, please.
That's what Archie. As long as the dog comes back with us to the old tower, sure. Yep. Those people have been working on the old tower for a long time. Should be done by now.
Yep, it's still it's still being worked on.
Matteo, what do you think may happen after the final shape? How do you see Bungie continuing Destiny? Tough question, I know.
I I want to say like my gut is, and like I have no like elaborate theories or anything like that. I'm just got a gut feeling. My gut feeling is that they're gonna drop the two, and then we're gonna just there'll be a new game just called Destiny, or like Destiny 2 will become something else. I feel like the status quo is gonna change to a point where they're just gonna like the game already is like its own platform. It's gonna just evolve beyond that. Like I don't know how to explain it. Like I I just think that whatever like the next evolution of the game will happen, the next big jump, like how Destiny 2 was to Destiny 1, will happen after the final shape. I'm just waiting for more leaks to come out because that will tell us. Because Destiny and Bungie are notorious for leaking things or having leaks. So
True, and a lot of times we don't even know if it's them leaking it themselves. Like this one that just came out was really suspicious. The guy's name on Reddit was Nimbus 9000 something. New account, posted the video, left it up for a good couple hours and then deleted it.
I wouldn't be
Really
surprised
weird.
if that was them.
Damage control for having not the best summer event mixed with just an all-time low of player morale.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because like the leak was just vague enough to make it believable that it it's real, and it's very in line with the other stuff. So like the other previous leaks, but
Now, do you think that we're going to get the next expansion after the final shape, whatever this new future of Destiny holds, immediately after the final shape, like the year after? Think that they're going to take a year off?
I feel like they would have to, because then Marathon would be in its full swing.
yeah,
And I feel like that's kind of why things here honestly have been very just slow. There's been a lot of server issues, a lot of downtime. I feel like just a lot of their effort is on this new shiny thing that is Marathon that is coming out. So we've kind of been left in the lurch a little bit. I feel like after the final shape, it's just going to be more apparent. They're just going to focus on the shiny new thing because it's shiny and new.
well, also Bungie's like since they've been acquired by PlayStation, like they've gotten their noses wet in other people's games. Like the Last of Us game was thoroughly reviewed by Bungie, and who knows what's going on with that. Like I'm sure that they had a group of people look at that, and that takes planning and resources. And then Marathon is a massive, 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 massive deal for Bungie. Like that is like before Halo, that was their golden goose, right? That's what made them what they are. And they can't mess that up. So even if like Destiny, like you're doing this huge expansion for Destiny, it's gonna last a little bit, but like I could definitely see there being a pause just to make sure that Marathon launches in a like extremely polished and ready state. So, but like even like it all depends on the ending. Like if the ending is like everything that we've ever wanted, I could see them taking a break. So even if it's like I don't know, I just feel like it. I feel like I'd have to wait and see after the first season to see where I think the story is going to go. But I feel like just knowing the industry and what else they have in the works, it's either too early to call or it's just I don't know. But if I were to bet, I would say like there probably would be some long like larger than usual break.
Yeah. What I've kind of pictured is that we'll get the final shape, those seasons of rebuilding, and then probably whatever the last season is, we'll have some sort of seasonal event that will kind of kick us off into. I think we might get a mini expansion, kind of like the 30th anniversary pack. I think we get something like that a year after Final Shape, where that is where I know that the last season of this year before Final Shape, we're supposed to be getting some sort of revitalization to the core playlists. I could see basically the year after Final Shape, we get like the Age of Triumph that we had in Destiny 1, where they just start bringing back everything and they're revitalizing old content, which I know that they already do, but they just do it at a bigger level. So that way Destiny 2 kind of becomes complete. Then I think the year after that, we'll get kind of, I agree with you, Matteo. I don't think Destiny 2 is going anywhere. I just think the 2 is going somewhere, and they're going to knock off the 2 and give it some sort of a subtitle. Just be Destiny and then a subtitle, and then that's how they're going to change it.
Now, this is a quick thing that it's not in our notes, but like they're referring to the future of Destiny. We know when PlayStation bought Bungie, or Sony bought Bungie, they wanted to make them, like they really wanted to mine the Destiny IP for other projects outside of games. Do you think there's a chance we could see like anything like TV or movie related, like an announcement for Destiny?
I would love
at
that.
The showcase?
Like
the show. That'd be cool. I'd be happy.
This is the first, like this is realistically the first like chance that they've, in my opinion, that they've been like they have to show something. Like the last one was too early to like get something ready, but even if it's like a logo or something, I don't think they would have had time to animate or anything. Like, and obviously the Hollywood right now is on fire with the 2 strikes going on, but like I feel like they would, if anything, we'd probably get a logo of a project or something like that.
Code name
or like a concept. I think that could be like if we were to get any TV or movie announcement, it would be that.
I agree. I hope we do. We've been waiting for that now for a while. Well, we will not have to think about or ponder this too much longer because the Destiny 2 showcase will take place on August 22nd. Now just under a month away. You can watch it on Bungie's official website, their YouTube channel, Twitch. Basically, wherever Bungie is, you can watch it. But all of our questions will be answered soon.
Yep. That brings us to the end of today's episode. If you liked what you heard today, hit that like, subscribe, or follow button below. If you want to contribute to the conversation, let us know any ideas you have for upcoming episodes, or just share your thoughts and leave us a comment. We'll see you next time at the Hub. Matteo?
Microsoft, make a new Banjo game. See you, everybody.